The stars were silent, but silence never meant peace. The human fleet drifted at the edge of the Orion Rift, waiting, watching, knowing the alien empire on the other side was preparing its strike. Among the ships was the cruiser Resolute, home to soldiers who had fought too long and seen too much. On that ship was Captain Rian Hale, a man whose face carried the marks of too many battles, yet whose eyes had never lost their fire. He didn't believe in luck. He believed in survival. Across the rift, the alien armies were said to be countless, their warriors bred for war, their leaders born to rule with iron law. But rumors carried stranger tales, whispers of a faction within the alien empire that did not want this war. Some said it was foolish. Some said it was cowardice. Rian didn't care. To him, war was never about wanting. It was about living through it. The war began without warning. A storm of plasma fire crossed the rift, cutting through human shields and striking deep into their formation. The sky lit like a burning ocean. The Resolute shook under impact, alarms screaming through its halls. Men and women scrambled to stations, voices overlapping in a chaos that felt more alive than the silence before. Rian stood steady on the command deck, shouting orders that kept the cruiser alive when others burned around them. Hours later, when the wreckage drifted and the fighting slowed, the humans had held, but at a terrible cost. Whole wings of ships were gone, swallowed by the rift's void. The Resolute floated damaged, hull torn, energy leaking into space. That was when they found her. She had come aboard in the chaos, captured in a skirmish where one alien shuttle tried to flee the battle. Soldiers had dragged her into the hold, an alien girl, unlike the towering armored warriors humanity feared. She was slender, her skin faintly glowing with a silver-blue hue, her eyes sharp and searching, her dark hair tied back, but falling loose around her shoulders. She looked young, though her kind's age was hard to tell. She was not dressed as a soldier, but carried herself with a pride that made the humans wary. When Rian stepped into the hold, she met his gaze without fear. Her voice was smooth, cold, but strong. You fight like fire in a storm, but fire always burns itself out. The soldiers raised their weapons, but Rian lifted his hand. He studied her, not as a prisoner, not as a threat, but as something he had not expected to see, a face that did not belong to war. "Who are you?" he asked. She tilted her head slightly, as though curious that a human would speak to her without venom. "I am Solari," she said. "Daughter of no throne, sworn to no army. I do not fight for this war." The crew did not believe her. To them, all aliens were enemies, every word a trap. But Rian saw something else. He had learned to read eyes more than voices, and in hers he saw no hunger for blood. He saw something closer to confusion, even defiance. They locked her away for safety, but Rian's mind kept circling back. She was unlike the stories, unlike the warriors they faced. If she truly opposed the Empire, then why was she here, drifting into human hands at the start of the bloodiest battle? Was it fate, or something far darker? That night, when the Resolute drifted in silence and the crew worked to patch broken systems, Rian visited the cell. Solari sat quietly, her fingers tracing patterns in the air, symbols that glowed faintly before fading. She looked up at him, her sharp ears catching his steps even before he spoke. "Why are you here?" he asked again. She gave a small smile, though it was not cruel. It was weary. "Because humans are not what they told us. They said you were beasts of war. Yet you fight, and you bleed, and you guard each other as though one life is worth the whole sky. I needed to see it." Rian frowned. "You came here to learn about us?" Solari nodded. "And now I have. You are not the monsters, but you will die if you fight them on their terms." Her words struck him harder than the weapon's fire had. He should have walked away. He should have left her to the guards. But something in her voice, in her calm certainty, made him pause. For the first time in years of war, a human soldier stood not against an alien enemy, but across from one, and felt that the ground beneath them had shifted. And though Rian did not know it yet, that moment was the spark. Not of peace, not of surrender, but of something stranger, something neither human nor alien had known before. The Resolute drifted like a wounded beast in the dark. Broken lights flickered in its corridors, and engineers worked without rest to keep the ship alive. Every sound of welding and every hiss of steam reminded the crew how close they had come to destruction. Yet, in the middle of all the chaos, whispers spread not of victory, but of the alien girl locked in their brig. Some wanted her gone. "She's a spy," they said. "She call her people, and they'll finish what they started." Others argued she was no soldier. But no one trusted her. Humans had fought the alien empire too long to believe one of them could ever be harmless. Captain Rian knew the fear, but something about her unsettled him in a different way. She did not glare with hate. She did not speak with the arrogance of an enemy commander. When he had looked into her eyes, he had seen something no one expected to find in the middle of war. Curiosity. Rian visited her cell again. This time, Solari stood waiting, her silver-blue skin glowing faintly in the dim light. Her pointed ears twitched slightly when he entered, and her sharp eyes met his. "You came back," she said softly. "Maybe I'm foolish," he replied, his voice flat. "But if you really are not part of this war, then I need to know why you crossed into human space during the largest battle we've ever fought." Solari stepped closer to the force field that separated them. Her movements were smooth, graceful, almost too perfect, like flowing water. "Because truth cannot be seen from inside the walls they build for us. My people, my leaders say humans are wild creatures who burn worlds. But when I watched you fight, I saw something else. You bleed for each other. You stand for each other. That is not what monsters do." Her words stirred something inside him. He wanted to dismiss them as lies, but the way she spoke. There was no hate in her tone. Instead, there was almost wonder, as if she had touched something new and was trying to understand it. "You think you know humans?" Rian asked. "I think I am beginning to feel them," she answered. "And feelings are dangerous." The last words hung heavy between them. Rian frowned. "Dangerous for who?" "For me," Solari whispered. Before he could press further, the ship shook violently. The lights flickered, alarms screamed. Enemy raiders had found them again. Soldiers ran through the halls, shouting orders, rushing to stations. Rian turned to leave but stopped when Solari called out, "You cannot hold them off like this. Not with your ship so broken. Release me, and I will help you." Rian spun around. "You expect me to trust you now?" Her gaze was steady. "You already do. Otherwise you wouldn't keep coming here." The words cut sharper than any blade. He hated that she was right. Against every rule, against every scar the war had left on him, he had not treated her like an enemy. Something deeper pulled him back to her cell again and again. The battle outside grew louder, and the crew's panic echoed through the corridors. Rian clenched his fists, torn between duty and instinct. Finally, with a curse under his breath, he slammed the release. The force field dropped. Solari stepped forward, but she did not run. She looked at him with a strange expression, one he could not name. "Show me your ship," she said. Rian led her quickly through the twisting halls. Soldiers glared as they passed, some even raising their weapons, but one look from their captain held them back. They reached the control deck where the stars outside burned with enemy fire. Solari moved to the panels, her fingers brushing over human controls she had never seen before. And yet, as if guided by instinct, she touched them with a calm precision that stunned the crew. The screens shifted, new pathways appeared, hidden channels in space that no human system had mapped. "How are you doing this?" Rian demanded. "My people know how to bend the rift's currents," she replied. But they use it to hunt. I will use it to hide you." The ship shook again. A blast struck near the hull. But then, under Solari's hands, the Resolute slipped into a silent corridor of the rift, a shadowed stream where no enemy scanners reached. The noise faded, the alarms slowed. The crew stared in disbelief. For the first time since the war began, they had escaped not by strength, but by something else, something Rian did not fully understand. He turned to Solari. She looked calm, but her glowing eyes betrayed something deeper. She was not only saving them. She was stepping into a place no alien of her kind had dared before standing with humans. And as she met Rian's gaze, he felt it again. That strange pull. That dangerous thing she had named, a feeling. The rift corridor swallowed the Resolute in silence. No alarms, no blasts, only the hum of its wounded engines. The crew dared not speak too loudly, as though afraid sound itself would betray them. For the first time in days, the soldiers allowed themselves to breathe. But their relief came with unease, for the one who had saved them was no human. She was the alien girl who should have been their enemy. Solari stood on the command deck, her silver-blue skin glowing faintly in the dim lights. Her dark hair framed her sharp face, and her bright eyes scanned the human screens as if she had always belonged there. The soldiers watched her carefully, some with awe, some with fear. Rian could feel their stares burning into his back, waiting for his judgment. "She stays," Rian said firmly. "Without her, we'd be wreckage. Remember that." No one argued aloud, but he saw the doubt in their faces. They would obey him, but they did not trust her. Trust, Rian knew, could not be commanded, it had to be earned. Later, when the crew returned to repairs, Rian found himself walking beside Solari in the quiet halls. She did not move like a prisoner. She moved like someone studying every shadow, every sound, as if all of it was new. "You risked everything," he said finally. "Your own people would kill you for helping us." Solari's lips curved in a faint smile. "They would kill me already for leaving them. But perhaps death is a price worth paying. If I can feel something before it comes." Rian frowned. "Feel what?" She slowed, her glowing eyes meeting his. "The pull I spoke of. It is strange, dangerous. When I fought among my kind, I felt only duty. Cold, heavy duty. But when I stand here with you, alive, it is like touching fire for the first time. It burns. Yet I do not want to let go." Her words unsettled him. He was a soldier, trained to push aside feelings, to survive by steel and discipline. Yet in her voice, he heard the truth of what he had felt too. When she looked at him, something stirred deep inside, something that war had almost buried. Before he could answer, a voice called from behind. "Captain!" One of the engineers ran up, face pale. "We found something in the lower decks, something from the alien shuttle. You need to see this." They followed him down into the storage bay. There, half buried in shattered panels, was a device unlike anything the humans had ever seen. It pulsed faintly with energy, alien runes glowing across its surface. The crew stood at a distance, afraid to touch it. Solari stepped forward, her expression darkening. "They placed this here," she said. "A beacon. It will draw them to you no matter where you run." The crew erupted in anger. Some shouted to lock her away again. Others accused her of planting it herself. Rian silenced them with a raised hand. "Can you stop it?" he asked. Solari crouched beside the device, her fingers tracing the runes. "It is bound to my people's blood codes. Only one of us can break it. But doing so will drain me. It will leave me weak, maybe even dying." The soldiers looked at Rian, waiting. It was his choice: risk her life to save them, or destroy the device by force and risk triggering it. Solari looked up at him calmly. "If you want my death, order it. If you want your survival, trust me once more." The air was thick with silence. Every soldier in the room knew this moment could end them. Rian's jaw tightened. He stepped closer, meeting her gaze. "Do it." She closed her eyes, pressing her hand against the glowing surface. The runes flared, their light spilling across the bay. Her body trembled, her silver-blue skin glowing brighter with each pulse. The device screamed in alien tones, then cracked. Sparks flying. At last, the light died. Solari collapsed to the floor, her breathing shallow, her glow dim. Rian caught her before she hit the deck, lifting her in his arms. She felt fragile, her strength burned away by the act. The soldiers looked on in silence. None dared speak against her now, for she had nearly given her life to keep them hidden. Rian carried her through the halls, ignoring the stairs. In his quarters, he laid her gently on the bed. Her chest rose and fell weakly, her face pale, but her lips curved in the faintest smile. "You trusted me," she whispered. Rian leaned closer, his voice low. "Don't make me regret it." Her eyes closed, but her hand brushed against his, light as a feather. "You won't," she murmured. And in that moment, as the hum of the ship surrounded them, Rian realized something no war could erase. Against all reason, against all orders, he wanted her to live not as a prisoner, not as an enemy, but as something far more dangerous. He wanted her to live because he felt it, too, that dangerous pull. The lights on the Resolute dimmed to night mode. Most of the crew slept uneasy, still shaken by the close call. But Captain Rian Hale could not rest. He sat beside his bunk, watching the soft glow that came from the alien girl lying under a blanket on the other bed. Solari's breathing was slow and shallow. Her skin, once bright silver blue, now looked dull. Whatever power she had used to destroy the beacon had nearly broken her. Rian had seen soldiers die with less pain. Yet this alien had chosen to risk her life for a human ship she did not even belong to. He could not understand it. And worse, he could not stop thinking about it. He reached out and touched her wrist carefully, checking for a pulse. Her skin was warm, almost too warm. For a moment she stirred, her eyes half opening. "You shouldn't," she whispered weakly. "Shouldn't what?" "Care," she breathed, eyes fluttering shut again. Rian stayed still, his hand frozen on hers. He wanted to argue, to say that he didn't care, that he was just doing his duty as captain. But deep inside, he knew it wasn't true. Something about her, the calm in her voice, the courage in her eyes had shaken something he thought long dead inside him. Hours passed before she finally woke fully. When she opened her eyes, the faint glow had returned. She turned her head toward him, her voice still soft. "You didn't leave." "I don't leave people who save my ship," he said. Her lips curved in a small, tired smile. "Then maybe humans are as strange as I hoped." She sat up slowly, the blanket slipping from her shoulders. The faint blue light from her skin reflected across the walls, painting his face with a gentle shimmer. She studied him for a long moment, then said, "Your heart beats louder when you are near me." Rian blinked. "What?" "I can hear it," she said simply. "You're kind where your feelings on the surface. Ours hide them until they vanish. Maybe that is why you live so fiercely." He didn't know how to answer. No one had ever spoken to him like that. Not in war. Not in peace. He stood abruptly. "You should rest. You've done enough." She looked at him curiously, then nodded. "And you, Captain, should learn when to stop pretending." Before he could reply, the intercom buzzed. "Captain to the bridge. Urgent." Rian left quickly, grateful for the interruption. On the bridge, his crew surrounded a display showing distant movement in the rift. Small signal scouts, maybe. The enemy was searching for them again. "They shouldn't be able to find us," said the lieutenant. "Unless they're tracking the signal remains. Or someone is guiding them," another muttered. Glancing toward the captain's quarters where Solari rested, Rian's voice cut through the whispers. Enough, no one touches her. No one questions my orders. But even he knew this couldn't last. Sooner or later, someone would demand answers. Hours later, Solari appeared on the bridge. She wore a borrowed human uniform, far too large for her, sleeves rolled up awkwardly. Yet somehow she carried herself like royalty. The crew froze. I heard the signals, she said calmly. They are hunting you through sound, not light. I can mask it, but I'll need access to your ship's pulse core. Rian stared. That's the heart of the ship. If something goes wrong, then your ship dies, she finished for him. But if you do nothing, they'll find you anyway. You must trust me again. He hesitated. The crew looked at him, waiting. The same moment repeated, the same impossible choice between logic and faith. Finally he gave a single nod. Do it. Solari's hands glowed as she approached the pulse core chamber. The sound of humming energy filled the room. She placed both palms against the glowing surface, and the vibrations changed pitch, slowly fading into a deeper, quieter rhythm. For a few seconds, everything went still. Then, a sudden flare of light burst from the core, wrapping her body in energy. Rian shouted her name, reaching toward her, but the flare vanished as quickly as it came. Solari collapsed again, trembling. The ship's sensors flickered, then steadied. The signals outside were gone. They had vanished completely from the enemy's range. Solari looked up from the floor, exhausted but smiling faintly. They can't hear you anymore, she said softly. Rian knelt beside her. You keep saving us, even when it nearly kills you. Why? She looked at him with tired, glowing eyes. Because I want to know what it feels like to do something not for a ruler, not for an order, but for someone. Her hand brushed his sleeve gently. Maybe that someone is you. Rian froze. Her words echoed inside him long after the hum of the pulse core faded. For the first time, he didn't feel like a soldier or a captain. He felt human again, and standing there beside her, he finally understood the danger she had warned him about. It wasn't just the enemy fleets waiting beyond the rift. It was this strange, powerful connection neither of them could explain, yet neither wanted to break. Days passed in quiet tension aboard the Resolute. The crew repaired what they could, patching the ship's wounds with scrap and willpower. But beneath the calm surface, a storm brewed, one that had nothing to do with plasma or missiles. It was about the alien girl who now walked their halls freely. Solari had become a strange presence among them. Some whispered she was a miracle, others a curse. Wherever she went, the soldiers watched her with wary eyes. Yet even those who hated her could not deny the truth without her. They would all be dead. Captain Rian Hale watched her too, though for reasons he couldn't explain. He told himself it was duty, that he had to make sure she caused no harm. But his thoughts betrayed him. Sometimes he caught himself staring at the faint silver light under her skin, or the way her eyes softened when she tried to understand human laughter. She was learning emotions like a child learning to walk, curious, clumsy and beautiful. One evening, as the ship drifted through a quiet nebula glowing pink and gold, Rian found Solari standing alone by the viewport. She gazed out at the colors, her reflection shimmering beside the stars. You like the view? He asked. She turned slightly, smiling. It feels alive. Your world must be full of skies like this. Rian shook his head. Ours are blue, simple. Not like this. Blue, she repeated, the word soft on her tongue, as if testing its taste. Your color of calm. My people say calm is weakness. He leaned against the window frame. Maybe that's why you keep fighting. Maybe, she said. But when I look at this color, I don't feel weak. I feel peaceful. It is strange. He chuckled quietly. Humans find peace strange too. We just don't admit it. For a long moment they stood together in silence, the hum of the ship around them like a heartbeat. Then Solari said, Your people fear me. They fear what they don't understand, Rian said. They've been taught that aliens like you are monsters. Are you afraid of me, Captain? He met her gaze. Not anymore. Something softened in her face, a glow that had nothing to do with her skin. She took a small step closer, her voice low. Then you are the first human who isn't. Before Rian could answer, alarms screamed through the ship. The lights turned red, and the deck shook beneath their feet. Over the intercom, a voice shouted, "Enemy interceptors approaching." They found us. Rian dashed to the command deck, Solari right behind him. On the screens, dozens of alien ships closed in fast. There was no time to run. How did they find us? Rian demanded. Solari's face darkened. They must have traced the energy pulse from when I masked your core. It left a trail through the rift. Then they're here for you, he said quietly. Her silence was answer enough. Within minutes, the first shot struck. Shields flared, hull plates trembled. The crew returned fire, but they were outnumbered. Sparks flew, and smoke filled the air. Through the chaos, Solari turned to Rian. If they board, they will kill you all, she said. They will call me traitor. Let me go. They want me, not you. No, Rian said sharply. You're part of this crew now. She shook her head. You don't understand. My kind will not take prisoners. They will burn this ship from the inside. Then let them try, he growled. We're not surrendering anyone. The ship jolted again, throwing them both off balance. Alarms screamed louder. Outside, one of the alien destroyers moved in close, its weapons charging for a final shot. Solari placed her hand on the controls, her skin flaring bright blue. There is another way, she said softly. But it will mean breaking every code I was born with. What way? I can reach their minds through the rift. I can make them believe this ship no longer exists. But if I do that, they will feel me, they will know who I am. And they will come for me again. Rian grabbed her wrist. You'll expose yourself. I already did when I helped you, she said. Let me finish what I started. She pulled free gently and stepped into the center of the deck. Her eyes glowed, the air around her rippling as if bending under pressure. Light spread from her body, dancing like liquid across the walls. Every human froze, staring as a soft hum filled the air, a sound like a song too ancient for words. Outside, the enemy fleet wavered. Their formation broke apart, their weapons dimmed. The massive destroyer turned away. One by one, their ships veered off course and vanished into the rift, chasing phantoms that no longer existed. When the last light disappeared from the screen, Solari fell to her knees. Rian caught her before she hit the floor. Her body trembled, her glow fading once more. They're gone, she whispered. But they will remember my name. Rian looked down at her, heart pounding. Let them. We'll be ready next time. She smiled weakly. You won't be ready for what's coming, Captain. They won't send soldiers next time. They'll send gods. Her head rested against his shoulder, her voice fading to a whisper. But maybe. It was worth it. Rian held her close as the stars outside shimmered in silence. He didn't care about empires or orders anymore. For the first time in his life, he felt the truth she had been trying to show him. Sometimes, the most dangerous feeling in the universe wasn't fear or hatred, that it was love. Asterisk. The Resolute floated in silence, hidden deep within the rift. The stars outside glimmered faintly, but inside the ship, everyone knew peace was only an illusion. The alien girl who had saved them again and again now slept in the infirmary, her body weak, her glow dim, her breath shallow. Captain Rian Heil stood at her side, staring at her face. He had seen death before, in 100 forms. But this was different. Watching her fight, the darkness felt heavier than any battlefield. She was not his soldier, not his species, yet his chest ached as if she were part of him. When Solari opened her eyes, the faint blue returned to them. She tried to sit up, but Rian gently pressed her shoulder. "Rest," he said. "You've done enough." Her lips curved faintly. "You always say that. But you don't understand, Captain. It is not finished." Rian frowned. "What do you mean?" She turned her gaze to the window above her. "When I reached into the rift to hide your ship, I felt something awaken, a presence older than any empire. It was sleeping, waiting. Now it knows both of us exist. The gods you spoke of?" He asked quietly. She nodded. "My people call them the eternal minds. They are not gods of mercy. They are machines of judgment, created when the first stars were still young. They will come for me. And for you." Rian looked away, jaw tight. "Then we'll fight them like we fight everything else." Her hand moved toward his, light and trembling. "You can't fight what they are. They erase. They cleanse worlds, not out of anger, but duty." "Then why tell me this?" "Because," she said softly, "for the first time I want to live. And I don't want you to die for me." Her voice broke at the end. Rian squeezed her hand gently. "Too late for that," he said. Outside, the sensors flickered. A new signal appeared, massive, cold, and bright like a small sun. The crew ran to their stations. Every display filled with warnings. Something was approaching, not a fleet, not a ship, but a presence. Space itself seemed to bend around it. Solari pushed herself up, her body shaking. "They're here," she whispered. The air turned heavy. The stars vanished behind a wall of light. Then, through the void, a colossal shape formed, a structure like a cathedral made of living metal. Its voice entered their minds without sound. "Solari, you crossed the divide. You touched the forbidden minds of humans. You must return." The crew froze, their heads pounding with the soundless command. Rian stepped forward, teeth clenched. "She's not going anywhere." The voice shifted toward him. "Human captain, you were not meant to exist beyond your sphere. Release what is ours." Solari rose slowly, the blue glow of her skin brightening until it matched the light outside. "No," she said firmly. "They are not what you think. They are more than beasts. They feel, they protect, they dream. If that is corruption, then I accept it." The light pulsed violently, shaking the ship. Cracks appeared along the walls. The crew screamed as power surged through the systems. Rian grabbed her arm. "What are you doing?" She looked at him with tears glowing like silver. "Ending the chain." Before he could stop her, she stepped forward, her glow expanding until it filled the room. Her voice echoed through the ship. "If the eternal minds want judgment, they will have mine. I will not let them destroy what I have come to understand." Her body rose slowly into the air. Her glow grew brighter, brighter still, until it hurt to look. Then, in a burst of silent light, she vanished. The storm outside collapsed. The massive structure cracked apart, dissolving into dust that scattered across the rift. The pressure vanished. The ship fell quiet. Rian staggered, eyes wide, searching for her. But only her faint voice remained, whispering in his mind. "Do not mourn, Rian. I am still here. In your stars. In your pulse. I wanted to feel what humans feel. Now I know." He fell to his knees, the sound of her voice fading. Around him, the crew stared at the empty air where the alien girl had stood. The monitors cleared. The rift was calm again. Days later, when they finally returned to human space, the ship's records showed no trace of the massive entity. No sensor logs, no readings. Only one strange entry remained in the computer, a single phrase. Written in alien script. When translated, it read, "She felt. Therefore she lived." Rian kept that line engraved on the hull of the Resolute. Every time he looked at it, he remembered her face, the alien girl who had risked everything to understand what humans carried in their hearts, and across the stars. Far beyond the reach of empires or gods, something unseen shimmered in the void. Watching him with gentle light, the war was not over. But humanity had gained something far more powerful than victory. They had taught the galaxy what it meant to feel.